I see that with YouTube all the time. People think it's super easy to just start a YouTube channel and stuff. But this is actually a business. When you understand YouTube too, it's a ministry and a business. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to like understand a lot of different things. Like even starting a nonprofit, that takes work. There's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes that people don't see, and people always just really want the shortcut, you know, but that's just not how it works in life. So I think the YouTubers and stuff that do tend to do better, and not all the time, but a lot of the time are those who are willing to put in that extra work and actually willing to think things through more and that sort of thing.
Not so that I can build a big empire with my name and a golden statue on a high building, right? Like that's not the point. The point is to, I mean, for me, it was the same thing. We were thinking about doing a podcast, thinking about doing a podcast, thinking about doing, and once we started doing a podcast, our AdSense revenue literally doubled in 1 month.
Yeah.
Ruslan.
I think this, in my opinion, provides tangible, practical solutions in terms of potentially ways we can combat homelessness, combat poverty, combat lack of purpose, combat lack of financial literacy. And this is somebody that I've been watching for a while. He has a very interesting story, and I've reacted to his channel before. His name's Alex Hormozi. He wrote a book called $100 Million Offer, and this is just straight like mindset, financial, business advice, okay? But I think it's important for us, even if we're followers of Jesus, and he's not, which currently he isn't, but I'm praying for him. He was once, or he claimed to be once. I think the advice he offers here, I think is really, 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 really helpful, and I think we can glean a lot from it. So Alex Hormozi built multiple businesses, sold them. He's worth well over $100 million now. Wow. And so he was at Think Media Grow with Video Live conference, and he has a YouTube channel that's booming, and he's I think when it comes to this sort of stuff, he's brilliant.
All right, okay.
The one thing that limits every business is the entrepreneur, not the opportunity, not the business vehicle, not anything else. It's the entrepreneur. Everything stems from them. There's three things. You've got the skills of the entrepreneur, the character traits of the entrepreneur, and then you have what I would call the beliefs of the entrepreneur. What do they believe about the world to be true? And what do they believe about the world to be true that isn't?
We have so many of these belief statements that like quote society or things that we inherit, but we just choose to say that this is how life is.
The easiest way to think about this is an analogy, which is if you imagine a ladder, right? Which you've got the ladder of success. Skills on one side, beliefs on the other side, and then you've got character traits in the middle as the rungs. You might have a tremendous amount of skills and great character, but your beliefs are limited. If all of a sudden you see somebody have an overnight success, it's usually because they had two of the three already very, very high level, but they were missing some huge part. Some belief was wrong. So for example, for me, when I went from 2 million to 7 to just under 30 in a matter of like 3 years, I believed things that were true of the world that weren't. And I didn't know that licensing was a model. I didn't know I could expand in that way. And in so doing, I was able to explode because I got into the right vehicle.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah. So he's basically saying like, this is what I was curious, is he's saying you have false beliefs that are actually beneficial.
What do you believe about the world, and do your beliefs serve you?
Yeah, so is he talking about what, like the truth, the correspondence theory of truth? Truth is that which corresponds to reality, and is he saying if you believe correct things about reality, then that's beneficial, or am I just missing him?
I think if he were to say what are beliefs, I don't think he's speaking about necessarily objective absolute beliefs.
Right, okay.
I think he's speaking probably about more mindsets.
Okay, I got you.
Right?
Okay,
So like, do you believe that your channel can grow to 5 million subscribers?
Got you. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that, then that's a belief that doesn't serve you.
Okay.
You know, and so beliefs is one side, then he says skills on this side, beliefs on the other side, and character is that ladder that builds it all together, that connects it all together.
Okay.
To just under 30 in a matter of like 3 years, I believed things that were true of the world that weren't. And I didn't know that licensing was a model. I didn't know I could expand in that way. And in so doing, I was able to explode because I got into the right vehicle. The vehicle wasn't the limiter. It was me and my beliefs about it. And then as soon as I changed the way I saw the world, I was able to get into a much better vehicle and explode from there. The skills we learn through education. Education comes from repeatedly doing things and learning from that experience. The information that we acquire to learn things comes in a lot of different forms now. The things that I actually invested in, workshops, books.
So he's saying one of them is the skills, right? Yeah. People don't have the skills, right? And the beliefs are then going to be connected to what the skills are, right?
Makes sense,
so,
seminars, coaching programs, one-on-one tutors, one-on-one mentorships, and Google. And I would say if I had to allocate amount of time spent learning things, Google was still by far the biggest one. It's funny, the other day, I just set up this new widget for our site. I Googled it, and I did it in 2 hours. And so I think that the amount of time that elapses between wanting to figure something out.
By the way, he's consistently made $1 million a month for like the past 4 years.
Jeez.
So the fact that he's still trying to add a widget to a site and then Googling it and figuring it out in 2 hours tells you a lot about his mindset, even being this far ahead on the game.
Willing to do the work,
willing to still do
doing
the work.
something. The more advanced you get, shortens. I remember it took me 3 years to figure out how to build a landing page, and the day I decided to do it, it took me 4 hours. So it took me 3.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Took him 3 years to decide to build a landing page.
Yeah.
And then when he finally decided to do it, he did it in 3 hours.
Yeah. That sounds right to me. I mean, I relate to stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was the same thing. We were thinking about doing a podcast, thinking about doing a podcast. And once we started doing a podcast and we built this second channel out, I told you this, like our AdSense revenue literally doubled in 1 month.
Yeah. That's wild.
It's crazy, right? You think about doing something, you think about it, and then you just do it.
100%.
You know? Guys, this is Alex Hormozi. He has a book called The $100 Million Offer. He started as a personal trainer, then he bought a gym, then he bought 5 gyms, then he created a program on how to scale gyms, and then he created a software around it, a licensing around it. He sold that company. He's worth well over $100 million now, and him and his wife, Layla, have a YouTube channel.
Actually figured out because I was avoiding the feeling of sucking. And so if you can confront sucking faster and just get over that idea that sucking is a bad thing, then I think you compress the time between you and the skills you want. The highest value of...
If you can confront sucking faster, you can compress that time.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, because you're accepting your weaknesses. You know what I mean? And so then, because that's what kind of limits you, that kind of fear, you know, and not knowing your weaknesses, but you can accept it, you can confront them, and then you can start working through them. That makes sense to me.
Amen.
From one-on-one mentorship. It's from people who are far ahead of me that were willing to speak strategically into my life. And that's usually because those people can identify all 3 of those things. They can identify skill deficiencies, they can identify character trait deficiencies, and they can identify things that you believe that are true that aren't. So that is where I've gotten the most leverage in my life is on, and I've paid $20,000, $30,000 an hour to many, many different people.
Okay, now that's a bit crazy that he was paying $20,000, $30,000 an hour. But I feel like in our relationship, in our relationship with Alan, with Mike, there's a lot of being willing to identify areas that we may be weak in.
100%. Like even with like my best friend, that relationship is really important because my best friend did all those things with me. You know what I mean? Helped me to see where my weaknesses are, where I have character flaws that I couldn't see, where my beliefs are out of touch with reality. Like he keeps me, you know, he's always, and we do this to each other. You know what I mean? And then I have a few friends like this now too, which is really helpful because that's why we need community. You know what I mean? We need community. It makes sense to me. Yeah.
Let's keep going.
To have them speak into my life. Right underneath of that, as I was coming up, was joining masterminds. It was the getting around other people, because for me it was very lonely. And so just being around other people doing things, it got my competitive drive up because I always wanted to be the best. And seeing people that I didn't think were like better than me do something better than me gave me hope that I too could do it. I'd see somebody be like, I don't think they work harder than me. I don't think they've got like some genius brain. If they can do it, I can do it too. Also, when I was in those communities, they would also already have sifted through information for me because there's lots of information out there. The problem is that we have limited time. So it's no longer about, oh, information's free, you can find it anywhere. It's not free. It costs time to go find where it is. And so the idea is when you pay someone for information, it's not you're paying for the info, you're paying for the time it took them to sort through it, to hand it.
That's good.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Because
good.
I see time and money mixed like that.
Yeah.
You have to think about them together. You can't think about them apart.
Especially opportunity cost as a father, as a husband with
100%.
responsibilities. You may not always have the time to go and chase down everything, but if you can find the person that's done the thing, it may be better just to pay the person for the information and the expertise.
Yeah.
So you're cutting time. That's what you're saving when you exchange the money. That's the idea. And I think a lot of people don't get that. This is the actual order that I bought things. So the first thing that I did free interviews. So I tried to reach out to people. So I just said, hey, I'll show you the stuff that I've got. You want to share notes with me? I can drive out there. We can meet up. And that's how I learned a lot of my initial stuff. Usually it was older guys who were willing to, like, you know, take a young buck under their wing. If you're young, the advantage you have is that you're young. You can get a little bit of that goodwill from older guys that you might not normally get if they're the same age. People are like, well, the millionaire won't let me pick his brain. It's like, well, no shit. His time's more valuable than yours. Either.
I get so many requests. Can you mentor me? Can I pick your brain? Can I take you out to coffee? Can I take, bro, I got 2 kids. I got a niece. I got YouTube. I got employees. I got friends I don't talk to in my real life.
I relate. Same thing. Yeah. And I'd like to, though, because I want to pour back into people's lives and stuff like that, you know. But it's hard when you got all this stuff going on. It's just tough.
And I do believe Christians tend to be way more generous with their time.
100%. Yeah.
Pay them, or you have to go down a rung. You have to keep going down until there's somebody that's either a peer or just slightly ahead of you who you can provide value to in a very narrow way. The next one I did is I joined a mastermind that was $10,000, and that was Sam Bakhtiari's mastermind, rest in peace. And he actually took enough of a liking to me that he said, why don't you just become my apprentice? And then he started paying me. So it was kind of weird. So I paid him and they paid me back. So I worked from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day with him, basically as his secretary. And I learned a ton. 3 months just like learning all these new terms, sales, copywriting, affiliate marketing. I learned all this stuff just from him because he was in that world.
I was just going to say, have you read that book, Mindset? There's a book called Mindset where it talks about the limiting beliefs and stuff, and the fixed mindset as compared to I can't remember. It's just like a fluid mindset. I can't remember what they call it, but they talk about that, like how limiting we can place these limiting beliefs on us that prevent us from achieving that. And so that's why if you say it's not realistic for most people, that would be true if most people have a fixed mindset, which they tend to have with a lot of different things. So, yeah.
You have a self-fulfilling mindset by believing that 75% of Americans are overweight. That's a real statistic. 40% are obese.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean that all 75% of Americans can't get in shape? No. The average is trash.
Yeah.
The average is awful, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be obese. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to die early.
Yeah.
I don't want to not be able to play with my kids, not be able to play with my grandkids.
Yeah.
So if that is true, which it is, most people suck. I'm sorry. I know that's harsh. Most people are sinful. Most people are wicked. Most people don't want to do the thing that makes them flourish. And
hard work is hard. Nobody wants to do hard work. That's what people don't get is like nobody wants to do the hard work. It's cool to have an idea to start a business. It's not fun to do the hard work, the things you don't want to do. You know?
Yes. But that doesn't mean you don't study the outliers.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and it's probably unrealistic that I'll ever get to a place where I'm going to make $1 million a month, right? But that doesn't mean I don't go and study the mindset, the characteristics, the disciplines that the guy who is making $1 million a month is doing for the sake of information and for the sake of what he's done to get to where he's at. Why? Not so that I can build a big empire with my name and a golden statue on a high building, right? Like that's not the point. The point is to have abundance so that you can serve people, so you can be the hands and feet of Jesus, so you can provide for your family, so you can like spread the gospel. Like you guys, some of you guys think that like the resource just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like resource is finite. Like someone had to go build this camera. Someone had to build the phone you're on. Someone had to come up with the idea, execute the technology for us to even have this exchange right now.
100%. And I see that with YouTube all the time. People think it's super easy to just start a YouTube channel and stuff. But it's actually a business. When you understand YouTube too, it's a ministry and a business. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to like understand a lot of different things. Like even starting a nonprofit, that takes work. There's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes that people don't see, and people always just really want the shortcut, you know. But that's just not how it works in life. So I think the YouTubers and stuff that do tend to do better, and not all the time, but a lot of the time, are those who are willing to put in that extra work and actually willing to think things through more and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so why the emphasis on money? Because most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Why the emphasis on food and nutrition? Because most people are fat. Like, and if you don't think following Jesus should impact those areas, then sir, you have a very compartmentalized faith. You got your faith in one little room of your home, and the rest of your house is a complete pigsty. And you think that's cool. You think it's cool to be overweight, unhealthy, and broke, and do it all in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, because you can do more for Jesus. Like, I mean, that's a lot of my motivation too, is I want to be able to help more people. I genuinely do, you know? And so like you can help more people if you got more money. If you're more healthy, you have the more ability to help more people and to provide more resources and to be there for people. So I think all of it's important for, I mean, if our main goal is Jesus, you know, you still like, it costs money to do stuff. You know what I mean? You can't do this without making any money. Like,
Right.
During the time, I also bought a weekend workshop for Facebook ads. I learned Facebook ads in a small group of 10 people in 2 days. It was really valuable for me. Then I didn't really do anything for a couple of years. And then I went to Traffic and Conversion Summit. So that was an event. And I just learned more about marketing in general. I got introduced to different softwares that I then started using. And then from there, I kind of got more into the digital marketing world. So I joined some masterminds. In that world, I didn't do coaching programs myself. I actually ended up buying them for teammates. I think the coaching programs are really effective to teach methods. So if there's a method of acquisition you want to learn, whether it's like YouTube ads or Twitter ads or cold calling, whatever it is, joining a coaching program by other people trying to learn the same thing from somebody who's good is a great way to fast track your success. It just gives you the accountability. It helps you resolve problems faster. What you're buying is speed. It's not that you can't do it on your own. It's that you can do it faster with help. If you were trying to solve a specific problem, finding specific coaching programs is really good. If you've been stuck for a long time, I think that's where like masterminds and one-on-one mentorship is more valuable, because you probably have a strategic issue more than a tactical problem. Now, the beliefs kind of get solved concurrently when you're in communities, because the best way to break a belief is to see someone doing what you thought was not real and then have it happen. A lot of people have heard of the Roger Bannister story, first man to break a 4-minute mile, and then the next year, 28 people or whatever it was broke the 4-minute mile.
Yes. Like, I mean, this is why I think we need community, because I mean, this is so important. And this is what I've seen in my life, which is unexpected, because I'm super introverted. Like I don't necessarily have a natural inclination at all to want to consult people. I don't like really doing it. It takes, you know what I mean? I don't like time, but I've learned the benefit of it throughout these years. And without the community, wise people who are ahead of me in some way, you know, it makes it just helps fix a lot of problems. Yeah.
Even from the belief aspect.
100%.
Right? Like when you reached out to me, you were at, I don't know, 100,000, 150,000 subscribers, and I was just kind of had my spark.
Yeah.
But your words of affirmation from someone that was further along meant so much to just believe that I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like you, then it was Alan, then it
Yeah.
was like the professor, then it was Sean Cano. So it was just like the other people believing things in you and being willing to be generous with encouragement is very powerful. And that's why I think community is very powerful.
100%. Yeah, and negative community does still impact you. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say like everything's all about how you feel, but I mean, when the YouTubers and stuff, they really do go through a tough time a lot, especially Christian YouTubers, because you're getting hate from the world, you're getting hate from the atheists, the non-believers, you're getting hate from Christians, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. That stuff does make you tired, you know what I mean? So you really got to have your strength, but if you have your people, you know what I mean, and you're grounded in a good community outside of YouTube, you can do a lot better.
The biggest benefit is not even the coaching, it's the beliefs that are broken and the things that you thought were false about the world that aren't. And I remember there was a moment where I was in a mastermind and there was a guy making, I think, $350,000 a month. And he got up there and he sounded like an idiot. And Layla and I looked at each other afterwards and we're like, if he can do it, we can do it. That was when we weren't even doing that much money. We were probably doing, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000 a month. Like, it was not a lot of money. So when I joined one of the first masterminds, I wanted to get my money's worth. I wanted to get as much out of this as I possibly could. Remember, be everyone's number one student.
Someone said, I do find it frustrating people only define success as money. We don't only define success as money. Okay, but here's the deal. If you're financially stable, you're less likely to be overweight. You're less likely to get divorced. You're less likely to be away from your kids all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could pretend like those things aren't a thing, and you could say helping others. Well, guess what? You could help others when you have money to first hold down your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
right,
like you want to help others and you can't even make sure that your family's taken care of. You're out of pocket, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think you guys don't know like how these things linearly work. If you want to help others, guess what? It requires resource.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So, and by the way, if you don't like me talking about money, don't watch the video.
Yeah.
Go away. Go away. Bye-bye.
Stay broke.
Stay broke.
I talked to every single person in the mastermind. I set up a call with everybody. And I was like, hey, I'm new. I'm good at sales. That was my first skill that I had. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know ads. I didn't know webinars. I didn't know landing. I didn't know any of that stuff. But I was like, I know how to sell. What I did was I just offered every single person to go over their sales script, edit it the way that I would structure it, and then rewrite them a sales script my way for free. And I did that with everyone. And then what happened is I had all these big stack of IOUs. And then I was like, I want to get into internet marketing. And I was like, Johnny was good at landing pages. Hey, Johnny, remember I have to do that sales thing? You think you could help me with landing pages? Sure, man. Of course. Okay, what else do I need? I don't know how to run ads. Hey, Sarah, you were really good at running ads. Remember that sales thing I helped you? Sure, of course. And I get one-on-one tutoring from everybody on the things that they're best at because I just gave everyone what I was best at. That's how I did it. You want to become the most valuable person in your network, and then in so doing, you gain access to everyone's network. Like Joe Rogan doesn't need to network. He just is Joe Rogan. And so if he wants access to somebody, he gets access to them because he is valuable. I've never been a fan of like the networking hacks. It's just provide value to people for nothing, and then you will have people who owe you stuff. You've got your skills, you've got your beliefs, and then you've got your character traits. If there's one that is the most important, I do think it's character traits, because the character traits are the wellspring that the other things are founded upon. If you don't have discipline, you'll never be able to actually study anything consistently to gain the skill. If you don't have focus and you're always building a new bridge every week about the new business that you're going to do, it doesn't matter how many skills you have and the beliefs you have about the world. Zuckerberg couldn't start 17 Facebooks. You only start one, and you have to stick with it. And so that takes focus. This is a really important point. If you have a trait, and this is where it's helpful to have communities of other people and ideally mentors, et cetera, who can speak in your life. And there's not even that many mentors who have the social awareness to say, I don't think you have integrity. I don't think you have focus. I don't think you have discipline. I don't think you have work ethic. I don't think you have drive. I don't think you have empathy. I don't think you have patience. Like these are virtues, these are character traits that people want to embody. And so you're like, how do you develop these traits? You don't develop a character trait. You act in accordance to what someone with that character trait would do. And you do it despite being uncomfortable doing it. So I'll give you an example. I was walking the other day with Layla. I was like, God, I'm so impatient. I was labeling myself as impatient. And that's been something I've believed my whole life. I was like, yeah, I'm impatient. I'm an impatient person. I'm go, 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 go. But I also want to be a more patient person. I want to be wiser. I want to be more long-term thinking. And she said, you're not impatient. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, all I want is for all this stuff to go faster. And she's like, yeah, but you're not changing direction. All your actions are one of somebody who is patient. So the fact that you're uncomfortable being patient does not mean you are impatient. It means you're just patient. And so your internal feelings about what you're doing have nothing to do with the trait. And so you think about the reverse of that, where someone's like, I'm super disciplined, except they don't do anything that's disciplined. And you're like, no, you're not. They're like, no, but I feel good. Like, yeah, but you're not disciplined. You have no evidence to support that you were disciplined. The idea of building a character trait is not, do I have the character trait or do I not have the character trait? It's to what extent do I have the trait? And so if you can think about character traits that way, then you can start reverse engineering the character traits that you lack. And this is really hard because one of the things that I see with entrepreneurs all the time is what will happen is that they will feel bad about something and then they will want to change something in their business to make themselves feel better. They take those emotions and then they try and feel better better by erratic behavior that's non-directional, and then they break their original strategy. The more willing you are to endure discomfort for an extended period of time based on a decision that you made in the past because you know it's better for your future means you are more patient. Character traits, even more than any of them, are a pursuit of perfection that we will never attain. But in understanding it that way, you can see it as a journey of trying to stack up wins in your favor. You do the thing, and you do it so many times that at some point you look back and you realize, you know what? I do this most of the time. I guess I do own this trait. And then you can label yourself as a patient man, a wise man, a kind man. And I think in doing that, you ultimately tap into the wellspring that allows you to...
Impressions, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's a lot of advice that I think I've kind of learned in the last kind of few years too, of having community and stuff like that. I mean, you start learning those benefits of these relationships, and you know, and then also I think too, it's like when I was thinking about Paul and what is that? Oh my goodness, Philippians 4, I believe it is, where he's talking about, I know what it's like to be without, I know what it's like to be with, you know what I mean? He knows what it's like to be hungry and well fed. And I think that that's good to have. But I think too, going back to what you said, when you have a family, you know what I mean? I think that's important, because your family, you have to take care of your family. You know what I mean? You have to play your role, take care of your family. So if you want to be broke by yourself, go ahead. You know what I mean? If you're
Have at it, bud.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like when you're family, you're accountable to your family as well. So you got to be able to take the initiative to make things happen. So,
yeah, I think if you're talking about building wealth for the sake of benefiting others, we're not talking about third world countries.
Right.
We're talking about here and now.
Yeah.
And if you're reading Matthew chapter 25 and you look at the parable of the talents, right, we are born with the 5 talents. Right, we always think about money, and we always think about Jesus says harder for a camel to enter the eye of the needle, right?
Yeah.
Oh, rich people are bad.
Yeah.
Bro, statistically speaking, you're watching this in the West, you're rich.
Right. Yeah.
You're who's Jesus talking about.
Yeah.
Go up and check out your income. There's this website called My Income to the Globe, and you could find out, and the vast majority of you guys watching are in the top 2% of the world's wealth.
If you can afford an iPhone, you're in the top, I think they said a couple percent or something like that. Yeah.
The vast majority of folks watching this are in the 1%.
Yeah.
So we always think about someone who's a little bit more wealthier than us, when really Jesus is saying, that's about you.
Right.
And then that verse isn't even about rich people not going to heaven. That verse is actually about salvation.
Yeah.
Right? That verse is like, well, who then can be saved? And Jesus says, well, God, which is another one that gets butchered, right? With God, what is impossible with man, with man, what's impossible with God, it'll be possible.
That's right.
And so I think this is one of those things that tends to just be an exhaustive conversation that most folks just don't care. And it's probably because of the season of life they're in, or they just don't understand how things work. And there's so many weird, twisted theological conversations around this. And if folks want to be average, then you be average. You do you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care to be average. So I'm going to study the outliers. If you want to be average, then you do average. We're not a third world country. And if you choose to bury your talents because you got some weird theology, or you got some weird views around finances, that's between you and God.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people probably would misunderstand is they're thinking that you're saying make a lot of money just for like ego purposes or to floss or something like that. You know what I mean? But really, I mean, from a kingdom standpoint, like you do need to make money in order to help other people. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being able to have money. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm not a prosperity teacher, but I'm not a poverty teacher either. You know what I mean? Like people will go to these extremes a lot, you know? And this is what we were talking about earlier, engaging nuance. You know what I mean? So.
Yes.
Ruslan.